What is up, everybody? Coach Juma here, and today we're going to be breaking down the stupid simple guide to getting a six-pack as easy as possible. Now, the common conception of what it takes to get a six-pack is just wrong. It's just wrong. Before getting started and helping you understand and get your dream six-pack, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join the Stupid Fit fam. That link is in the bio. If you love this content, you're going to be watching this video all the way through, might as well get more of my content by subscribing, hitting the notification bell, joining the Stupid Fit Fam Mighty Network, where there's free content in there posted multiple times a week, and you get exclusive, unrestricted access to me to ask any questions you want. Why are you laughing?
I love having unrestricted access to Juma. It's the best, bro.
Should I rephrase that? And to put it really simply, right, you're not going to get a six-pack by disregarding your nutrition. You're not going to get a six-pack by running for hours and doing a lot of cardio. You're not going to get a six-pack doing only ab workouts, only crunches, only like flexion exercises, right? A lot of people like the lumbar flexion exercises. Maybe going to be working out your abs. You're going to work out a portion of your ab muscles doing those things, but you're not going to get lean. You're not going to lose fat. And odds are, if you look at the people in the gym, there's a lot of regulars that I'm sure you see at your gym because they exist in every single gym in the world. They do these things all the time. They do ab workouts all the time, but their body and physique hasn't really changed in the months and years that they've been there doing that, trying to get that result. We're going to go with a scientifically simple approach to making this happen so that you're not that person. You're not the stereotypical person that I'm talking about. And other people can look at you and be like, wow, that guy, he didn't have a six-pack before and now they have one. You know, you could be that success story. So there's really three key components when it comes to working on and achieving a lean midsection or a six-pack. There is the development of the musculature underneath, right? You want to have larger ab muscles so that they could poke through your skin and through your fat easier. Muscle is the deepest layer in your body. If you want more definition, you need it to be significant enough in size for it to push through those other layers. Beyond that, you also want to have a smaller or as minimal layer of fat as possible. And this is done through just overall calorie deficit, right? Just the same way you would lose fat any other part of your body, you're going to need to do that for your midsection. Problem is, the midsection, especially if you're a very stressed individual, is going to be where you store most of your fat. Because that's the case, you're going to lose fat in that area a little bit slower than any other part of your body. What I mean by that is maybe you've lost a lot of fat already to this point and you have like arm definition, like you could see your bicep or whatever, but you don't see it on your midsection yet. You're still losing fat in that area, but you just have to lose a little bit more to see it than you would in your arms, for instance, because there's just a larger percentage of fat accumulation there. Training your ab muscles, managing the fat that is on top of the ab muscles, and controlling your nutrition in a way that is going to maintain that long term are going to be the keys here to do that. To understand how to properly train the ab muscles, you need to understand the anatomy of the ab muscles. There's a bunch of different muscles in your midsection that need to be worked. The rectus abdominis, and this is the actual six-pack muscles that are going to be visible for you once you lean out and have a leaner midsection. The main function of the rectus abdominis is any kind of flexion of the spine. So your spine flexing this way or flexing your hips up to your shoulders, where you keep your torso and your lower body curls up to you. Those are both done by the rectus abdominis. Right, so we want to be aware of that muscle. Underneath and behind the rectus abdominis is the transverse abdominis. And the main function of this muscle is to maintain stability of your spine and resist any kind of extension or flexion, right? So this is spinal flexion, this is spinal extension. The transverse abdominis, its function is to keep this stable despite outside forces. For instance, with a plank, right, a really easy example, if you're holding yourself up, gravity is naturally going to push your spine toward the ground into extension. The transverse abdominis' goal is to keep your rib cage flexed in and your back rounded and your spine stable while in a plank. That is going to be really important to train as well because, like I said, it's underneath the transverse abdominis. Strengthening this and growing this slightly, adding muscle tissue to this, will push the rectus abdominis forward and through the fat that you have on top of that. And lastly, the last muscles that we have in the midsection are going to be your internal and external obliques. So on both sides of your body, you're going to have the external oblique, which is more visible, and the internal oblique underneath that. And these are going to be responsible for any kind of lateral flexion or rotation of your spine and your torso, as well as any kind of resistance to rotation and resistance to lateral flexion. So a farmer's carry, for instance, where you're holding a weight on one side and the weight weight wants to pull you down this way, that resistance is going to be training your obliques as well as your transverse abdominis too. Likewise, Russian twist will be training your obliques, as well as a Pallof press, which is where you hold weight or a resistance band that's pulling you this way, and you try to resist the rotation that is being done by that exercise. These exercises will challenge those muscles. Six-pack, abs, or a strong core, right? These can sometimes be interchangeable terms, but they're not exactly the same thing. Have a lot of benefits beyond just looking good, right? Looking good and being aesthetic is a great goal to have. But more than that, it provides a lot of stability in all of your lifts. The core is the foundation of all movements that happen within your body, especially the heavy compound lifting that you do, or even sprints and any kind of athletic movement. Core plays a huge role in that. Having a weak core can lead to an injury doing those activities when pushing yourself. A good strong core is also going to help improve your posture, reduce low back pain, improve joint mobility across other joints because it doesn't need to compensate with the core, and improve your overall athletic performance and explosiveness. So there's a lot of benefits to this, and it all works hand in hand, because if you can improve your posture, improve your strength, reduce your injury, you're going to be doing better in the gym, you're going to be burning more calories, and you'll be able to maintain the six-pack that you want more effectively. But you need to know how to train the core effectively. We talked about the different muscle groups that are involved. You don't have to memorize that. It is important to know what kind of movements are going to be needed in your core training regimen so that you can hit all the different points effectively. So to get a complete core training workout, what you want is to attack all the different movement patterns that use and incorporate your core directly. This includes flexion, lumbar flexion, like I stated, rotation, heavy loaded carries or compound lifts, and then the anti-movement exercises where really you're just trying to be as sturdy and strong as possible. This includes anti-extension, anti-rotation, and anti-lateral flexion. These movements are going to be flexing of the spine, either head to your knees, or reverse flexion of the spine, knees to your chest, rotation, where your torso is twisting and your hips are staying stationary, or vice versa, your hips are twisting and your torso is staying stationary. Loaded carries, heavy compound lifts, those are great core challengers as well. And then lastly, the anti-movement exercises. So this is going to be where you're resisting a load and you're attempting it's not like edging, dude. You know what I meant. You knew what I meant. It doesn't matter if you knew what I meant. You knew what I meant. Anti-extension, resisting extension of the spine or flexion of the spine. You want to stay tall and sturdy. Anti-rotation, you want to resist twisting. And anti-lateral flexion, you want to resist leaning side to side. You want to train the movement where you are doing the lateral flexion, doing the flexion, doing the rotation, and you want to train the resistance against that movement too. So easy way to remember, there's flexion, there's rotation, there's lateral flexion, and then the anti of that. I'm going to give examples of each one as well as degrees of difficulty for them so that you could try them out as well. I mentioned earlier I have a big gripe against crunches, and the reason is old school crunches where you're just bringing your shoulders to your knees and doing sit-ups or whatever. They only train the upper half of the rectus abdominis, just those top 4 ab muscles. It's not a lot, and it's not even the area that a lot of people struggle with in terms of what they want to change with their physique, right? So there's more muscles involved that we need to target that don't get enough love for us to have a complete six-pack, complete strong core. So I always like to incorporate the reverse, bringing your hips up and maintaining torso flexion. So this is going to look like reverse crunches on the floor, reverse crunches on a bench. Both of these are relatively simple movements, and I would call them beginner movements, to challenge lumbar flexion and give you more control over your torso, while also targeting the lower muscles of your abdominals. If you wanted to do an anti-flexion or anti-extension version of these movements, I like to incorporate dead bugs and standard planks as simple starting points for you to follow. So with a dead bug, you are extending overhead and reaching your knees forward and alternating them. With that reach of your limbs, you want to only move your limbs. You want to resist the urge to flex and extend your spine and adjust your ribcage positioning. Nothing should move other than your legs. And that's the goal with all of these anti-movement exercises. You want to keep a stable torso and only move one thing that is meant to be moved. For rotation exercises, I really like just basic Russian twists, but the goal and caveat here is you're keeping straight hips. Your hips aren't twisting twisting with your torso. You're only twisting your torso, touching the one side and rotating around, touching the other side. My hips never twisted. Twisting like this, you know, you're not really challenging yourself. You're just letting the weight take over. You want to keep your core engaged and only move a portion of your body at a time. Likewise for anti-rotation, my favorite anti-rotation exercise and probably the most effective is a Pallof press. There's a lot of variations of it where you are pressing out a weight, having the weight be perpendicular to you. So it's trying to pull you sideways, one side or the other. You can use either a cable or resistance band, and you're going to be pressing it out. Every time you press it out, the further the weight is from your center of gravity, the harder it's going to be for you to resist rotation. There's more torque involved the further away it gets from you. Keeping that strong torso, keeping your ribcage flexed in, and again, only trying to move your arms. Nothing else should move but your arms. The way it looks right now is the way you want it to look under load. So with resistance, you want it to look exactly the same. You don't want to be like the load is pulling you this way and you get pulled with it for a second and then you come back. Only arms moving, everything else is rock solid. The last movements are going to be lateral flexion movements. So really easy lateral flexion movements are going to be toe taps, where you're laying down on your back in a sit-up position and you're just tilting side to side. So imagine myself laying down, my feet are flat in front of me, I'm reaching, hips stay straight, my shoulders are twisting, touch my toe on this side and coming back, touching my toe on this side, really getting a crunch on this side of my body. Really simple to do. You could do it at home. Challenges your obliques effectively. Now, anti-lateral flexion exercises are your standard farmer's carries or offset farmer's carry. You're holding heavy loads to your side. It's trying to pull you down, but you need to stay tall and maintain a strong torso position. This is more challenging when you do it only with one arm. So instead of having 2 dumbbells on one side, imagine a pulley system that has exactly 40 pounds on each side staying in one spot. There's no work that needs to be done by the pulley to maintain this position. If you only have 40 pounds on one side, now the 40 pounds is going to be unevenly and drastically pulling you down from one side. So there's going to be a little bit more work involved by you to maintain that position. So having a one arm suitcase carry and trying to walk with that, the only thing that should be moving is your feet. The only thing that should be moving is your legs. Your upper body should be exactly stationary the entire time, not adjusting in movement. That's going to be the goal with anti-lateral flexion exercises, just like all the other anti-movement exercises, completing it for X amount of steps and repeating it for the other side. So a good core training program will incorporate one of each of these movements at some point during the week, whether it's as a warm-up, as a real workout, you know, you're supersetting with something, or as a finisher to one of your training days. You should have a lumbar flexion, an anti-extension, a rotation, an anti-rotation, a lateral flexion, and an anti-lateral flexion movement at every point in your week. If you don't, you're leaving core training results on the table and you're risking injury as well as poor posture, no six-pack, you know, all the things no one wants in their life. The other thing you need to be doing is managing your nutrition and putting yourself in a calorie deficit. Not something I'm going to go in depth in on this video. We have multiple nutrition videos. You're going to link all the nutrition videos? Yeah, just like they're all there. All right. Okay, cool. So calorie deficit is going to be the other aspect. The last aspect is lifting heavy in general. With your compound lifts, the main lift of every single day, the generic ones are the barbell squat, the deadlift, the bench press, the overhead press, the barbell row, you know, the heavy compound lifts of your day. You want to lift them as heavy as possible. You want to challenge your core in these movements. Whether you want to or not, your core is going to be worked, right? Even though with a bench press, you want to work your chest. With a deadlift, you want to work your glutes. Your core is still being challenged. And you can't challenge your glutes, you can't challenge your chest, you can't challenge your shoulders appropriately if your core is the weakest link and holding you back from pushing that to its fullest. Do this for a set period of time. Control your calories, incorporating the direct core training movements that I talked about, and lifting heavy compound lifts. You're going to get a six-pack in a matter of time, as opposed to wondering whether or not you're actually going to get it or not. And if you don't, then, you know, something's not going right. You should reach out to me, apply for a strategy call, and let me know. We could talk through it so that we can figure out why and help you come to a solution to stop spinning your wheels and being stuck. Because the worst feeling is putting in a lot of effort and not getting the thing you want out of it. And instead, you can redirect your effort to a smarter approach that is going to make getting the result a lot easier. So if you made it this far into the video and you want more ab exercises for all these different movement patterns, I'm going to be sharing a lot of them in the Stupid Fit Fam Mighty Network. So make sure to join the Stupid Fit Fam Mighty Network so you get access to the full library of exercises. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe once again, and share it with a friend that wants to have a strong, simple six-pack as well. But until next time, stay stupid.